This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
Broadcasting live from the True Crime Today studios to the world. This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Brueski and Stacey Cole.
Hello, it is Stacey Cole and Carol Hughes. Tony's on vacation this week, so Carol's filling in to delight your mornings with just the worst of humanity. And boy, we've got the worst of humanity. This guy.
This guy's pretty bad.
He's
pretty bad.
This is terrible.
I think this is almost one of the worst crimes. Like, there's so many bad crimes, but this is right up there.
Yeah, and we cover some just really horrible things, and it's easy to say, oh, this is the worst of humanity. This one
right
might,
up there.
You know, if you were keeping score, if you've got a whiteboard on your wall and you're looking at things going, okay, well, that story was bad, I'd put that over here in this category. This one's going to be in a lot of different categories. So here's the deal. A Maryland funeral home owner has been sentenced to prison for fatally shooting a pallbearer during the burial of a 10-year-old girl who was killed by a stray bullet in Washington, D.C.
Repeat that sentence.
I was just going to say, let me say this again. A Maryland funeral home owner has been sentenced to prison for fatally shooting a pallbearer during the burial of a 10-year-old girl killed by a stray bullet in Washington, D.C.
I can't wrap my brain
I
around
did
it.
not misread one word of that sentence. Not one word.
I just
What
can't
in the
wrap my brain around
ever-loving
that.
You know what? Okay. Here's where it gets even worse. Wilson Wesley Chavez, I think Chavez, age 50, the owner of, here's the name of the funeral home. I hope everyone's sitting down or at least have some coffee or something. Don't take a sip right now. The name of the funeral home is as follows: Compassion and Serenity Funeral Home.
Which is anything but.
God. He was convicted in February for the June 6, 2023 killing of 30-year-old Ronald Stephen Banks. Banks, a family friend of the young victim, Ariana Miracle Davis, was helping carry her casket at the time of the incident. On Friday, a judge sentenced him to 60 years in prison with 25 years to be served and the remainder suspended. Prince George's County State's Attorney, Aisha Braveboy, called the sentencing a clear and unequivocal message that we will not tolerate this kind of violence in our community. The shooting occurred just before the burial began. Now, according to police and court records, Chavez confronted two individuals associated with a rival funeral home, which is part of an ongoing business dispute. Witnesses say he shouted profanities at a pastor and others at the graveside. When Chavez shoved the pastor, several attendees intervened, including Banks. Chavez then pulled out a handgun and shot Banks, who later died at the hospital. Another mourner was grazed by a bullet.
This is at a 10-year-old girl's funeral.
Who was shot.
Tragically, her middle name was Miracle, which makes you think that her just getting into this world, that's how her parents felt about her.
Yep.
And all the trauma her family's going through, and then they get to this horrific day and this shit happens.
Yeah, this is absurd. Ariana's mother expressed her heartbreak in an interview with NBC Washington, saying, "I'm so traumatized that this happened at my daughter's burial site. I didn't even get to lay her down, even put her in the ground, and another incident happened," she said. "This is so traumatizing to me, my children, my whole family. It's just trauma after trauma." Belk, a teacher and mother of four, said Chavez also shouted, "I own this body," and spit on the pastor before fleeing the scene. He was stopped shortly afterward by a Morningside police officer. He claimed he acted in self-defense.
Bullshit.
At the time of the shooting, he had an active temporary peace order against him from the president of the rival funeral home due to alleged threats. He was convicted of second-degree murder, use of a handgun in the commission of a crime of violence, and reckless endangerment.
And being a horrible, horrible human being. There should be a charge for that.
What do yeah, there should just be, you're just the worst. That kind of a charge. Like, okay, here's the charges against you. You check that box, check that box. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're just a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, this is this poor family's 10-year-old daughter. And I don't know. I'm assuming that somebody there was associated with the rival funeral home. But that's okay. They went to a funeral. This had nothing to do with him. He doesn't own the body. He owns the funeral home. He is there just to provide a service. Mm-hmm. And he is background at this. And the fact that he jumped in, he shoved the pastor. Like this was a frickin' melee.
Yeah, like a brawl after a soccer game.
And then he got out a gun after all that. And the poor guy who got shot, I don't know, had anything to do with any of that rival shit. Because
Probably
he
not.
was a pallbearer at the funeral. Now they've got another funeral to go to for the pallbearer of their own daughter's funeral. Like, it's just horrific. Or they already did. But, it's like, it's so horrific. I can't even wrap my brain around it. Going to a funeral of a child is incredibly difficult. And then
I've been to one, and it was horrible.
Oh, and this is a little girl who died so tragically, unnecessarily, probably some kind of, I don't know if it's gang violence or somebody shooting a gun. It was a stray bullet. Who knows? Could have just been shooting guns for no reason. Mm-hmm. But, so she was tragically killed. And the mom's right, trauma after trauma. Like, they've been so traumatized. And there would have been other children at this funeral.
Yes. So, not only are you, doing horrible things, but you're traumatizing kids who've already been traumatized.
And the Compassion and Serenity Funeral Home. I'm like, what the hell is that? There's no compassion, no serenity at this funeral home.
Zero serenity. Yeah, I mean, it really, the people who work at funeral homes should really just be in the periphery. They are just making things happen. They're not the center of attention. They're not supposed to be.
He's hired to do a job. Just like I need a new fence. You're hired to do my fence. You don't get to come over and shoot people.
Right?
You're coming to build my fence. And this guy, like, no regards for anyone there. And luckily, there wasn't more people shot. I think there was him and the one other guy who was grazed by a bullet, or person grazed by a bullet. God, I just can't wrap my brain around that. And I'm so glad he's locked up for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's just, no words. I have no words.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers Podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.